Hey, listen. Mm-hmm. I like podcasts.
Yeah.
And
they're okay.
We got one. It's about the 90s. I don't know how I found this one podcast that I love quite a lot and support on Patreon. But I suspected it may have been that I was sort of wondering what else is out there about 90s media. Mm-hmm. So I find this podcast called Throwback Podcast.
Sure.
They talk about old albums from the 90s into the 2000s, just sort of whatever they're into. Whatever they're interested in. Yeah. They haven't, as far as I remember, dipped into the 80s, but they've acknowledged that possibility as well, just like us, right? Music, though, always. And I like him. And I like this dude, Dan Hanzus, one of the co-hosts. I'm like, this guy's so funny. And he mentions his more successful podcast, as he calls it. So he works for the NFL, and he's got this podcast around the NFL.
Okay.
And I'm like, look, I really like Dan Hanzus. So I'm going to check out Around the NFL podcast. So I'm listening Around the NFL. And they're funny. Mm-hmm. Hanzus, his personality is clearly, he's kind of the host among hosts.
Sure.
Inside jokes, busting balls, all this stuff that I like about him on his other show with his friend. And in the meantime, they're also analyzing NFL stuff.
Cool.
I think I might like football again.
Nice. Football.
And I thought I'd bring that up with you as the NFL kicks off this week.
You trying to watch a game with me?
I'm pretty sure, well, maybe. I'm pretty sure Thursday is week 1, kicks off with some fucking matchup that I forgot to look
up. Are the Giants in it?
Maybe. You know.
You want to just become a Giants fan with me?
Not really. One of the things
the thing is, I'm a theoretical Giants fan. I haven't watched the game in a couple of years, but I really like the Giants. I don't know. I want them to win because, my dad does.
Yeah. One of the topics of conversation on the Around the NFL podcast has been, when does Eli get benched?
I know.
Because he's been benched in the past, right?
No,
I thought a couple years ago it was
maybe when the season was they had a year where they lost every game, so I think they were just it was like a non-season. But whenever they're having any kind of real season, it's because of him.
Okay,
but I think that it is the kid they drafted has been lighting it up in exhibition. My dad was telling me, and
Eli's got to be on the decline.
This might be his last year.
Yeah,
but it's kind of an interesting position he's in, as my father explained to me on the phone recently, because he's gonna be starting opening day because he's Eli Manning,
right?
And if he stays hot, if he gets to stay in, you can't take him out if he's doing well. But the second he starts to, if they sink below 500, even in week 3 or something, he might be gone. So it's kind of like this. It's a kind of a fascinating scenario where the old dog controls his fate, you know. And I actually am interested in that. So if you want to watch some Giants games, especially early on, to watch Eli's last few starts or whatever it's probably going to be. But I'd love to see him rise to the occasion. Right. That would be so cool. Because I know he can, when he's playing well, he's very, very good.
A great deal of it's mental, right?
Totally. I mean, it's certainly not physical with him.
Not with him. But
he's not a running quarterback, and he has a very strong arm. So I don't know, but he always could really, really throw it. So it's all it is he reading the defense well? Is he making good choices?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Is that a great deal of the quarterback position is mental, and he's got the background to be able to do that.
He's very good at that. So in particular, he could, if he really stays on top of it, and he's making the thing is he's going to make the choices fast enough and all, because does your body and mind slow down together as you get older? Sure, they must, right?
Yeah. By the way, Dan Hanzus.
Yeah.
Native New Yorker.
Oh, yeah?
I think a Jets fan.
Is he from Long Island?
No, actually. He's from a little bit closer to the city than you.
Really?
I'm forgetting the name of the town.
I'll probably know the town. I wish you would know it. Could you Google it?
I could. By the way, the Throwback podcast is him and his childhood best friend, longtime best friend. So they grew up in the same town together.
Google the town. And I want to know if I played them in football or something. How old are they?
They are a year older than me. They're born in 80, graduated high school in 99.
Oh, they're a little too old for
They
me.
might have graduated 98. Yeah, they're a little older than you. I don't think you connect the same way that I do.
Sure.
There's something about their sense of humor, the references they make, and all that stuff really clicks with me because they're really close in age and sensibility to me.
Most of our lives we've been consuming stuff made by people older than us, and now that we're getting older, you kind of get to see. It's sort of like that show on Hulu called Pen 15.
Penis.
The two women who created and star in it And I think there's a guy who's off screen who created it with them. They're my like exact contemporaries, and it's about being in middle school at the exact years I was, and they conjure up those years so well. And it's so cool to like I'm like, I don't know how this would work for someone who's not born in 1986, 87.
Yeah.
But it is on the money. Like the school dance, like all the girls are wearing jeans with rhinestones on the butts, and like they're wearing like midriff showing, and the boys are wearing very long shiny shirts untucked, and everyone's kind of staring at each other weirdly, you know, like it's, and like they'll do these things where one of the girls like starts staring at a guy in class, and the camera will be just on his neck hair. And then it'll like the background music will suddenly be like in sync, like I am such a fool. It's so funny, and it's so like that's the time, you know.
Yeah. I wonder if there's something about like the deep immersion in pop culture has made it so that for something to hit you real solid, it's got to be super close to your exact time.
I mean, there's an episode called AIM. And it's just all about them being on AOL Instant Messenger. Yeah. It's amazing. It's fucking amazing.
I mean, I wonder how something like AIM has, like it probably has a window of time in which it would, but finding AIM at that age may narrow that window, right?
Sure,
like AIM mattered, but to a range of ages. For AIM to
7th and 8th grade
matter to you in 7th and 8th grade, you might have to be born like really close to right when
between
these
like
people
85 and 88.
Yeah, I wonder. Pearl River in New York.
Oh yeah, Pearl River. They must have. I think they might have had some money. I don't know if I'm wrong.
I gather that it's sort of an upper middle class type community.
Yeah.
From just listening to them talk.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I just wanted to bring up, one, I wanted to sort of acknowledge and celebrate the way that can work, where you find something you like, you connect with some stranger.
Yeah.
But because podcasts allow people to create these kind of DIY things, they're just recording in Hanzus' garage, as they often acknowledge. And they're just friends recording a thing about music they care about in a garage. And they make jokes about how nobody's listening, but I'm listening and I care and I connect. And it actually gets me to go and check out something else that they're doing. And I like that exists in the world.
Yeah.
That we can still respond to things that feel a little more intimate.
Yeah.
Podcast is one place where that's happening. YouTube probably is a place where that's happening. That's not really my thing.
And also it's like, because so much media acts as a barrier to like humanity, like a lot of like TV shows and stuff don't,
because it's so corporate and sterile.
Yes, and
inhuman.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think like a podcast is really refreshing because it's only humanity, even a bad one. There's still even like when it's bad because of how cringe worthy this human is. You know what I mean? So there's like something to that. It's like, hey, at least there's not a laugh track. At least it's not.
There's not a team of corporate shills working to make it as vanilla as possible, so that
it's like, here's what sells.
It's inoffensive to the largest number of people possible, because offending people is what drives them away, which is a byproduct of like, we can access the audience. We just got to keep them. So like, that's mass media, right? Like, the audience will find us.
Right.
We just got to not alienate them.
Sure.
So let's be as fucking boring as possible so that everybody will be okay enough to stay tuned.
Yeah. It's got to be honky dory.
Yeah. Whereas something like podcasting is more like, there's no guarantee that the audience finds us. When they do, we got to keep them.
Yeah.
It's not about like, who of the masses can we drive away the fewest number by being as sort of easy to like as possible, but instead it's like, can we be liked intensely enough to keep the people who check us out when they happen to find us?
Right.
That's what I like about a kind of, I mean, I hate to say like a punk rock, you know, like kind of a DIY indie type medium. And I don't really mean to go here, but that's why it so fucking sucks that corporations are taking over podcasting.
I know.
With things like the Ron Burgundy podcast, which I've never listened to. Will Ferrell's funny, whatever. I'm just not that interested in huge radio conglomerates being like, what will people probably listen to so that we can sell ads?
Yeah.
That's not what I'm here for.